Hi everyone, Joe Rushton here. I'm the FSA manager at SAI Platform, and this is our whistle-stop tour of the FSA programme. I'm not sure this will come as a surprise to many of you, but a growing number of businesses have the ambition to promote sustainable agriculture. I'm sure I don't need to convince you of the benefits of that, but there is a change underway. Even in the short time that I've been working in the sector, people are so much more aware of the challenges that we face, and it's great to see more and more people in businesses at all levels that want to bring sustainability into their companies and are part of their own roles. But how do you promote sustainable agriculture when you source a wide variety of ingredients across diverse supply chains from all around the world? This is, of course, a real challenge and one that we're trying to address at SAI Platform. It's kind of like, where do I begin? This task is so huge and we're under-resourced. We might not even know where we buy from, let alone how sustainable it is. We might have some scattered sustainability programs, some certification. Some suppliers might tell me that they're doing good things, but how do I bring this all together and find out where the priorities are? This is exactly where the FSA comes in and why SAI Platform was created. A lot of companies have tried to solve this problem internally on their own, and this has created a different problem, but more about that later. SAI Platform was founded in 2002, and we've grown ever since. Back then, pre-competitive collaboration was rare, even rarer in the space of sustainable ag. But we were a forum to share, to learn from each other, to collaborate on projects and research, and try and break down silos. The idea is sustainability is a challenge that faces the whole industry, so let's try and respond as an industry. Consumers need to have trust that big food companies are responsible, and they care about what they care about. And here at SAI Platform, we want to harness the power of collaboration to get to where we need to be faster, more efficiently, and hopefully with more impact. It's too big for any one company to try and fix on their own. And together, our members have a really great track record and some fantastic examples of both individual and collective leadership. Here are a full list of the members. We're over 100 now with 11 full-time secretariat. And I'm really proud to serve these companies. It's a community of passionate people that really care about what they do. There are some great people behind every one of these company logos. And like any membership, the biggest value goes to those that step up and show leadership and participate. And we're really lucky to have such an active community. One of SAI Platform's resources is the Farm Sustainability Assessment, which was developed by our members, their suppliers, farmers, and external stakeholders. It's available to everyone in the agricultural supply chain, including non-SAI Platform members. The FSA is the industry definition of what farm sustainability is, where it exists, and how to most effectively promote its uptake. It was created to try and move the industry towards an aligned approach, taking the burden out of assessment and allowing you to focus on improvement. Every member using their own bespoke sourcing procurement guidelines isn't a sustainable way of fostering sustainability. And we believe that when we all work together under the same approach, impact or improvement should happen much more quickly. So that's the concept. The spark for this, I believe, was a lot of the 2020-2025 sourcing targets. I think the scale of that challenge really made companies think twice about going it alone. When you start to think about areas that you're less influential or the sheer numbers of suppliers, the tail end as it's called, the FSA becomes an obvious choice. It's been designed to be both a reference and a framework for sustainable sourcing. We want the industry to be aligned not just in terms of aims, but also in terms of approach. It's no good if the industry ends up pursuing the same reference for sustainable agriculture in 100 different ways. It really is about how you organize yourselves and your supply chains to drive change. I'm going to talk through the what, the how, and the why, starting with what the FSA is and what it does. The FSA is centered around 112 sustainable agricultural questions, focusing on the three pillars: environment, social, and economic. The questions are applicable globally for all crops and commodities and all farm types. It's a holistic farm-level sustainability survey. It can be used as a self-assessment, for benchmarking, for verification. We have a suite of guidance and training materials available on the FSA Resource Centre, as well as a FSA Web application, which is only available to SAI Platform members and their suppliers. Everything else in the FSA is available for all. I'll explain about these in more detail, but the point to get across is that the FSA isn't just a questionnaire, there's a system around it to make it operational. The FSA is a free tool that reduces complexity and speaks one common language. Food and drink companies want to buy more sustainably grown agricultural products and are increasingly setting ambitious targets to do so. A single, simple, industry-aligned, widespread tool such as the FSA can help people meet those targets. Using the FSA helps companies reduce the burden of having to assess and verify multiple farm sustainability practices using different schemes and codes, and it eliminates the need to develop your own sustainable sourcing criteria from scratch. The FSA is a single reference for benchmarking standards like company sustainability codes, private and public standards, certification schemes, and country or regional specific legislation. Again, the take-home message here is that the FSA is putting structure and narrative to your work that can be shared internally and externally. We're trying to create a level playing field. If you're already starting out with the FSA, the likelihood is that you're already sourcing FSA equivalent raw material, you just don't know it yet. It's been used extensively already, so if you just start using the FSA now, you're tapping into an already well-developed network of users. It's been used for smallholder pineapple farmers in Africa, as well as large grain farmers in Canada. We have a web application to support the self-assessment and verification steps. Of course, it's no good to have all of these great continuous improvement stories locked away on a hard drive. It can be used by buyers, farm management group coordinators and their farmers, and it's free to use for SAI Platform members and their suppliers. It's also available in 21 different languages. Out of the SAI Platform membership, here are the FSA's biggest users, just to give you a flavor of the companies that are already deploying it. Okay, so that was a background as to what the FSA is and does, and now I'm going to talk a bit more about how it works. It follows a three-step approach of engagement, assessment, and improvement. The first step is to engage your supply chain, and that's the most important bit to get right. Essentially, what you're trying to do here is convince people why sustainability matters and why the FSA is the right tool for the job. Where it goes wrong is when engagement becomes too task-focused. Of course, assessments don't drive change. People and relationships drive change, and that's what we're trying to do in the engagement step. Build better relationships and more trust, without which improvement can never happen. The nice thing about the FSA is that it's typically used by farm groups, and that makes it efficient, but also from an engagement standpoint, if it's done well, what you open up is a sustainability forum, and it's a really nice and effective way to learn and improve as a team. If you can get that team spirit going, the rest should be quite easy. We then move on to assess, so assess where you are and your current level using the FSA, and there are two main ways to do that, benchmarking and direct implementation, and I'll go into that in a bit more detail shortly. Finally, improvement, understanding what can be done now the assessment has taken place and where to go next. For example, are there any themes in the results? What are the opportunities? What are the barriers to improvement? What can I do to best support my growers? You might bring in external partners, conduct training, it could be variety trials or better access to finance or information, for example. But this should absolutely be done in partnership with the farms to make sure that the action plans truly address their needs. It's no use if we prioritize areas that aren't important to the farmers. Within the FSA, we have a scoring system of bronze, silver, and gold, and that's to facilitate communication around continuous improvement, as well as a simplified way to set some goalposts. This depends on how many essential, basic, and advanced questions are addressed. In all cases, 100% of the essential topics are required, but then we ask for increasing numbers of basic and advanced questions to move from bronze to silver to gold. The important thing about this is that you can set your own company targets. It might mean gold in one supply chain and bronze in another. It might be 100% essential target. That could be the first step, and then bronze could be a 5-year plan. A key feature for all of those levels is that there is some flexibility built in. For example, water scarcity. If it's not really a risk in your area, then you can still answer no to all of those questions and get any of the medals. The only things that aren't flexible are the essentials and then the basics for the gold claim. Okay, we then move on to the assess step. We call them implementation options. Really, they're assessment options. We have indirect implementation via an FSA Benchmark Sustainability Scheme, direct implementation via self-assessment and verification, and then the third option, which is a mix of the two, or the hybrid option. Okay, so benchmarking. Very simply, if I'm a company wanting to source sustainable produce, whether I'm a restaurant, processed goods company, or trader, you first need to set some requirements to reference against. In this case, that would be the FSA, and then we need to go about finding that raw material. The first step in doing that is to understand what's going on already in your supply chain, and you probably want to do that quite quickly. the chances are you already have a good deal of information to go on just by looking at third-party certifications, for example, organic, food safety, biofuels, quality, etc. This might have been a deliberate choice for your company, or you might not even know that these are being used until you've done that first engagement step. Essentially, we're saying that if you have ISCC, Red Cert, Bon Sucre, etc., then there's no need to do anything more. These programs meet the needs of our sustainable sourcing goals. That is implementation 1, also known as benchmarking. And in most cases, it's much better to go with a local tailor-made sustainability program that already has the engagement and buy-in. We can benchmark third-party certifications, national legislation, as well as company-owned programs. And we have over 100 different sustainability schemes benchmarked against the FSA to date. You can download the results list from the FSA Resource Centre, and we're adding new standards all the time. So if there is a scheme out there that you're using that's missing from that list, do get in contact and let us know. If not, if there isn't an available standard that suits your needs, then it's possible to use the FSA off the shelf via self-assessment and verification. This is called implementation option 2, and I often give the example of a potato or sugar beet. There aren't too many sustainability schemes that have been designed to help these farms. They're low risk than that of palm oil, coffee, tea, etc. So that's where the FSA self-assessment has a great role to play and is particularly well suited. It is possible to use the FSA via option 2 just as an improvement or diagnostic tool to understand sustainability performance and the opportunities. But if you do want to make FSA claims, then these claims would need to be supported by third-party verification. There are a number of FSA-approved verification bodies that we've trained to assist in that. The final option is a combination of both. So if we have a standard that's partially equivalent to the FSA, for example, food safety, then we can simplify the self-assessment and reduce the number of questions to only those that are relevant. Okay, so you should now know what the FSA is and how it works, but why should you think about using it? Firstly, the efficiency of pooled resources. We have 3 full-time staff working on the FSA's management, governance and development, and it's received roughly a €500,000 development budget over the last 4 years. We're doing all of those boring bits for you, so you can focus on using the tool and what matters. Secondly is critical mass and scale, particularly at the tail end of the supply chain. It's going to be very hard to make progress depending on what you're buying. You might be forced to use mass balance approaches rather than driving change across the whole supply base. Thirdly is buy-in. Trying to get people to try something new is always a struggle, and I think especially the appetite for company-specific tools is getting much more challenging. The industry-wide nature of the FSA and its broad recognition, it makes it a very appealing prospect. In terms of the benefits for farms, the FSA equips farmers with valuable knowledge and insights, allowing them to improve their performance. Using just one reference tool and one form means less duplication in effort in terms of auditing and verifying on-farm sustainability practices. And it also reduces costs by providing a ready-made solution to communicate all of that good work that they're doing. Finally, using the FSA increases the opportunities to do business with companies that are interested in sustainable sourcing. If you want to find out more, do check out our FSA Resource Centre. And for regular updates, we'd be happy to add you to our LinkedIn FSA Community of Practice group. Just get in contact and let us know. But thanks so much for listening. As always, any questions or ideas, don't hesitate to get in contact with any one of us here at the SAI Platform Secretariat.